Welcome to Scott Pilgrim versus the podcast, a podcast where we take down Scott Pilgrim, take him down downtown with the elbow, as Pete is saying. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And we are going to be absolutely wrecking episode 5 of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Lights, camera, sparks.
Sparks.
So if you haven't seen it on Netflix, definitely check it out. But this is a mockumentary style episode. So we go behind the scenes of a major Canadian motion picture, Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Life, ostensibly written by young Neil, as Romana continues to try to figure out what happened to Scott Pilgrim this episode. She is investigating Todd Ingram, voiced by Brandon Routh, and we get some big twists and changes here from everything that we knew about Todd, everything we knew about Envy Adams, ultimately leading to her next target, which is Julie Powers and Gideon Graves, a.k.a. Gordon Goose, at the end of the episode. So lots of stuff going on in the middle here. I did want to ask first, though, Justin, you were furious, like you were livid and screaming the last episode because they used the same formula for episode 3 that they did for episode 4. And you weren't having it. You threw a fit, like on the floor, red in the face. This episode was a different format.
Tantrum.
Yes,
like a little baby.
Toddler tantrum.
Like a baby tantrum, toddler tantrum.
Yes.
I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling young and fresh. So naturally, I want to really freak out like a baby who lost his candy.
Yeah.
Baby wants candy.
Well, did Baby get his candy this episode? That was exactly the question that I wanted to ask you, since we again got a different format here.
Baby got candy. Baby liked the format.
All right.
I do think, and like you're saying, I threw a big tantrum. I was just saying I liked the last episode a little bit less because I just wanted to be clear in case someone's coming in cold and being like, who's Baby? And why is everyone trying to put Baby in the corner, which is how I feel. Because I was just a little like, oh, now we've established sort of a repeated format. When here, shaking it up, we get a whole new genre look at it. I was actually surprised we stayed in the movie world for this episode. Were you guys?
Pete, what do you think about that?
I didn't
how
really
Baby feeling?
I didn't overthink it. I tend to go
beard
in
baby.
like...
You're beard baby, and I'm Baby.
Okay, great. Just call me BB. I had a great time with this episode. Felt good about it overall. Anytime Weird Al is involved, I'm having a great time.
Wow, great. Thank you for the input, Pete.
Real quick, Pete. Yeah, you're just having a good time. When you say Weird
you seem
Al,
like very clipped about it. Are you upset about this episode? Are you going to be the baby this one?
Are you Baby?
Are you throwing a tantrum?
No, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Oh, okay. All right.
Are you talking about Weird Al, the recording musician, or Weird Al, that guy who's always just like hanging around you, Pete?
Oh, no, not the weird dude that I hang out with, whose name happens to be Al.
It's a real coincidence that he's also Weird Al.
Yeah. I have 2 Weird Als in my life. This one I'm happy.
The thing that I was most surprised about with this episode is, and I guess this isn't the property, this isn't the show, this wasn't very biting. Like, I kind of expected, we're doing the mockumentary format. There's going to be some sort of skewering of how Hollywood works or something like that. Yeah, I'm the baby.
Yeah, Alex is the baby.
I'm Hat Baby. Hat Baby.
Hat Baby.
Yes.
Hat Baby, making hat dreams come true.
Oh my God. What is that?
Yeah, I don't know. Scott Pilgrim is always like very nice, like it's pleasant in general, even when they're being mean to each other. It's not necessarily biting commentary on anything, but I guess that's what I usually expect out of a mockumentary episode. It's definitely not at all what they were going for here. They were just like, let's do some goofy, fun things with the characters. Let's throw everything into chaos in terms of everything we know.
Yeah, it's more of an Office mockumentary than like biting, hard edge style.
You should
satire,
rewatch
not
The
true
Office.
Satire.
Yeah, you should watch The Office, I think. That was pretty harsh. That went hard. All of
they really took down the
paper
industry.
The Office went hard, would you say?
The Office is the hardest show I've ever seen.
Oh, my God.
Just in terms of cultural commentary.
A scathing look at the paper industry. Oh, my God, yeah.
I'll never look at the town of Scranton the same way again. I'll tell you that much.
Every time I drive through there, I spit. I spit right out of my car window, right on their ground, because they deserve it for what they did.
What? No, that's actually a sign of respect in Scranton. Yeah. That's a positive.
I love you. Why don't we talk through this here because we get a lot of stuff going on, as we mentioned. So the setup is now Envy and Todd, who are dating because they're in the band Clash at Demon Head together, are now starring in the movie as Romana and Scott Pilgrim. And a lot of this episode is about their relationship, first breaking it up as Todd hooks up with Wallace Wells and sees sparks, and eventually completely breaking it up because they're not together by the end of the episode. What do you think, Pete? You're our relationship expert here. How'd you feel about this? How do you feel about Envy and Todd and everything that went on with them?
I mean, this was really hilarious. They leaned into the rom-com in this a little bit, especially because they're talking about making Toronto a character in this as well. So kind of playing with the fun rom-com tropes that you hear about. I thought this was, I mean, you kind of feel a little bit bad for Todd, which is a first. Normally, he's just super douche. Gets his powers taken away. Oh, that's what he deserves because you can't. Chicken parm isn't vegan. So, I thought this was, handled in a fun way. And I do really like how they're handling the relationships in this show thus far. And poor Todd, Wallace just wrecking hearts as he goes. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's
Wallace is the villain. Wallace is having villain energy. Yeah.
For sure.
Well, I had a couple of thoughts I wanted to throw out here, but I think the major one is about Wallace being the villain, as you're bringing up. So they kiss in a very funny scene where Envy and Todd can't stop kissing every time they do a take. It's driving the director, played by Kevin McDonald, absolutely insane. And ultimately, Wallace is like, hey, let's shake it up by letting me make out with Todd, a very Wallace move to do. But it seems like they both see sparks, but later on, Wallace is like, no, this was just an on-set thing. Do you think he's lying, or, this is an insane thing to say, but do sparks work differently than we thought they did on this show?
Wow. Well, I mean, that's a big question. I would say, sparks work differently for different people, but I feel that Wallace does seem like the kind of guy of this is just a fling. This was just for this. You know what I mean? So I didn't feel like when he was walking away, he had secret feelings for Todd.
It's just interesting to me. I agree with you. I think Wallace is being straight up here, but at the same time, I think I kind of expected, based on the first couple episodes, when people see sparks, that's a sign of mutual attraction and love. Like there is something there for both of them.
That's the thing about sparks is they can, that's rom-com's bread and butter right there. You think two people are in love. And it's just one person feeling that way, so,
Well, I think what it came down to with this is that Wallace fell into the genre that they were sort of parodying here of the rom-com and because you were talking to Alex about how the satire, you didn't think it was hard edge enough, but I think they were going after sort of a soft target by sort of parodying Hollywood a little bit, but also just how rom-coms work in general. And so that's why I feel like they were sort of hitting that mark and not trying to undercut all of Hollywood.
Yeah, that's the one thing I was surprised you weren't the baby about, Justin, is they're going hard at Hollywood, in these episodes. So I just want to make sure you're feeling okay still about it. You know what I mean?
A director saying the city is a character, that's funny. That's a cliche. But it's not like they were going after anyone in particular. And, Edgar Wrong.
Young Neil, you don't think represents a certain part of, what's going on, the problem with Hollywood, you know what I mean? Come on.
Okay.
Wow.
It's a safe place to talk about.
Why are you getting so hard-edged suddenly?
Oh my God.
This is
too 5
intense.
minutes away from going against woke cancel culture ruining Hollywood.
No. Take it easy. Take it easy with that.
Yeah.
Slow your roll.
No, it's not. Sorry, go ahead, Justin.
No, you go, because then
I was just going to say, in terms of the Hollywood stuff, the things that I was going to throw out there is it's ridiculous. It's not satire. It's comedy that they're going for. It's broad comedy. Things like at day 2, the production was $17 million over budget. That's
Hilarious.
not ooh, gotcha, Hollywood. It's
3 shots in the can.
Right. Yeah. That's not going to happen. And it's funny. Yes.
That feels like they're making fun of specifically the Scott Pilgrim movie with that stuff. And a lot of this stuff, it doesn't feel like it's after Hollywood. It's after the movie that we've seen and loved.
Did it go over budget?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, okay. I do think the other thing that I was going to call out there that kind of I feel like sets up their whole take on this Hollywood thing is repeatedly calling it a major Canadian motion picture. I think they're more
Yeah.
making fun of the fact that like you don't think Canada as a producer of enormous movies.
Hey, how dare you?
Yeah. I mean, they don't. It's mostly like
There's a ton of television and movies shot in Canada, sir.
sure, but it's mostly just when you're talking about a major Canadian motion picture, it's like, oh, yeah, I got a moose on my phone camera, and I'm going to release it.
How dare you?
Sorry.
How dare
Sorry,
you?
I just want to
Hey,
see how edgy this Canadian impression can go, because we're on the border.
Yeah. Ooh, Canada's also on the border. Eh?
Wow, that's really great.
awful.
I feel like this is the culture. You're about to get
You're
canceled.
Edgar wrong over here.
Oh, man.
Canada canceled.
Oh, man. And by the end, Todd eats a big bucket of poutine. That was pretty good. Pete, would you eat a bucket of poutine that large? Like a popcorn bucket of poutine?
I have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What are you asking?
What the fuck are you talking about?
What a crazy question, Alex. Talk about it.
All right, let me take it a step further then, because it was clearly like popcorn, large popcorn bucket size, which is already a lot of popcorn. If you went to the movie theater and you had a choice between a large bucket of popcorn while you're watching the movie and a large bucket of poutine, what would you go for, Pete?
Both.
Wow. It's a controversial answer. You're going to eat poutine at a movie theater? Your hands are going to be disgusting.
Yeah, the bucket's going to be soaked through. You know.
Yeah. The bottom of that bucket's definitely going to collapse any second now.
Yeah.
Do you do like the M&M trick where you take a little bit of the poutine and pour it in the popcorn so it gets all melty?
Oh yeah.
Great.
This is
so
too
agreeable.
much. This gravy,
this
gravy pornography, basically, what we're talking about here has gone too far.
Pete's going to put Pete's going to put a couple of buckets together and run a gravy train, if you know what I'm talking about.
Wow, good.
Wow.
This gravy culture is out of control. We need to put it.
How dare you? We just had Thanksgiving. It was in a perfect place.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm Canadian. What is Thanksgiving?
No.
It's a holiday celebrated on October 6th, a Monday.
To talk about the young Neil thing, just to get back to the Hollywood parody stuff, I do think that you're right, Pete. There is a parody of very lightly film bros who are like, yeah, I love cinema. I saw Mean Streets.
Transformers.
Yeah, maybe not Transformers, but like him wearing the Cronenberg for president.
Cronenberg for president, yes. Yeah, and that was a film bro takedown for sure.
Yes, absolutely. And young Neil has that level. He keeps talking about like how he's into cinema now and he's a screenwriter. He doesn't know anything about it. It's very funny. But again, it's very broad. Like, it's not like film bros are going to watch that and be like, how dare you? You got me in my heart. It's like, huh, you know?
But I don't think this show is meant to be doing, trying to take anyone down. This show is just having some fun.
No. It seems like they're saying Hollywood's is full of shit and they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Wow.
Yeah, they're calling it Holly Weird, I heard.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That's true. Pete's anti-film bro bona fides are showing.
Yeah, go ahead, Justin.
I was going to say the way the relationship stuff plays out, because I think that's where we're talking about, like, what are the big swings here? Like, they're not trying to take down Hollywood or anything. They're trying to mash up all of these characters that we've seen, and they're doing a good job of that. And the way that they do find sympathetic moves for all the X's, I think, is what the fun and sort of direction here is.
This is the other thing that I wanted to bring up is, conversely from the previous two episodes where Romana found real closure with her exes there, she doesn't really do that with Todd, I don't think. We do get that flashback to them together about how they made out in the bleachers, but ultimately by the end of the episode, Todd is bummed out eating his poutine. Envy doesn't like him anymore because she cheated on him and broke up with him. And Romana has moved on to the next thing. She finds out from Matthew Patel that maybe it's Julie and Gordon Goose who are behind the whole thing. So what do you think about that? I mean, I do think that is a big change up for the formula. Do you feel like there's more closure there that maybe I missed, or otherwise, how do you feel about this change to the structure?
I agree. There wasn't a ton of closure, and it wasn't at all like a make peace moment. If anything, it highlighted that Romana and Todd really just didn't have a relationship, and that Todd, even like, you know, despite him seeing sparks, he just feels like a guy that loves maybe poutine most of all at the end of the day. Like, what is What's the takeaway from Todd? He's sort of a cipher or something.
I think it's one of those people who kind of like you point him in a direction and he's going to see sparks, whoever's in front of him. You know what I mean? Like
a dum-dum.
Yeah, a little bit. And I think that, also I love the moment where they confirmed he punched a hole in the moon. Yeah, that was a fun kind of callback bit.
I was a little bummed out about that just because I liked the callback, but I absolutely love the joke in the book where he does that. He's like, I'll punch a hole in the moon for you, Romana. And then I think the caption is something like 30 pages of apocalyptic destruction follow, which is so funny.
Yeah.
They didn't have that in the movie either, but I just love that so much. I wish they had done something like that there. But I did like...
You got a little bit. It was fun.
You got a little bit, and I did like the joke of dramatic reenactment of a guy hovering in front of the moon. That was a fun bit.
Fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
How do we feel about Matthew Patel is sort of taking on the role of Gideon from the original comic, right? He's staying in the power.
Yeah, he's in the helicopter. He's kind of like now the head dude. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, the power shift for sure.
I do think, though, we get an indicator of potentially where things are going to go at the end of the episode here when Romana and Matthew Patel have this, you can't just say his first name, Matthew Patel have this conversation where she reveals that Scott is alive to him. And he's like, he's alive. And he ends his sentence with, is he mad at me? He even points out, he's like, oh God, I got all my confidence from killing Scott. What happens now? Yeah. So I think there's more to come on that potentially. And that's a fun direction to send him in. It's an actor who it almost feels like, I don't have any knowledge of this, but it almost feels like that might have been the genesis, like we talked about in a previous episode, of Matthew Patel comes in, fights Scott. That's the only thing he does. You don't know anything about him. So finding out more about him and his character through the actor, through the voice, that's exciting. It gives this project life, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was going to change subjects. Were you going to?
Yeah, no, I was too.
Okay.
I was going to stay here, but go ahead, you guys.
You're going to talk about like something else, like holiday plans, or still on the Scott Pilgrim stuff?
No, just, I'll talk about it later. It was holiday plans. Go ahead, Pete.
I think sometimes in shows where you walk away and you're like, oh, there's this one character that they didn't show enough of, and I really wanted more. And then sometimes when you get more of that character, it's not as enjoyable. I think Lucas Lee in this is just constantly hilarious, and I don't ever get tired of him just doing like grunts or little smirks, or like the way he uses his smile on the phone and she can't see it. Like there's just...
Sorry to interrupt you. He was not in this episode. That was the last.
That was the episode before.
Oh, okay. So when you said you wanted to talk about a different topic, it was another episode.
I wanted to change subjects a little bit.
That is quite different.
I was winding up to it a little bit, if you would have let me finish.
Oh, I'm sorry. Finish, please.
So then we get more Todd in this episode. And then it's like, oh my God. Is this because he can be just this one note kind of thing, and like the vegan police were such a big part, like it also took away from Todd's story a little bit and became like a cooler part of his story. It was just still very cool to kind of see these characters and get more time with them. I'm really impressed with the way they're using characters and getting more time with them, and maybe hitting similar jokes that we know and love, but also kind of doing new stuff with them in a way that maybe is formulaic depending on the episode. But man, I'm loving every second we get with these exes.
I mean, that brings up a related point there in terms of seeing characters again. Todd breaks his veganism, but we don't see the vegan police.
Yeah.
We don't see Thomas Jane. How are you feeling, Pete?
That hurts. It hurts real bad. I'm a baby about that. I mean, if you're going to bring everybody back and you're not going to bring the vegan police, I mean, that seems like a huge mistake.
What are you even doing?
Yeah. Actually, in the name of that, Pete, would you mind mailing Thomas Jane a check for what he would have been paid to be in this show?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Because he would.
Every year I send him a check around, Christmas time, Thanksgiving, just to make sure he's doing all right.
I usually send him a big bucket of change so he can take care of his dirty laundry.
Oh, smart.
Nice.
Smart.
That's got to be expensive just for shipping, Alex.
Yeah,
It's more than the amount of change that's in the bucket. It's a bad deal. I should not do that.
That's ironic. That's sort of ironic. I want to talk about a couple of smaller things.
Wait, can I say one more thing on that?
Yeah.
Whenever it arrives, it actually gets to his house and he's not there because he's gone for the holidays. And so he'll send me back a note that says, "Sorry, I missed you," which I'm like, that's fun.
Nice.
He was in a movie called The Mist.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Deep cut.
thought
Maybe
it was
you're the
like-
biggest Thomas Jane fan, Alex.
Yeah,
Kind of
exactly.
I guess. That
I
movie's
think you are,
great. You should
weirdly.
watch The Mist. It's one of the best horror movies of all time. So good. Pete, don't watch it. You'll be too scared.
Yeah, you
It's
lost
too
me in a
scary
horror
for Pete.
movie.
Yeah.
Maybe you could just turn the volume down and watch Thomas Jane like a real fan.
Yeah. No, there's
Like you could see
monsters.
sparks.
There's
See
monsters.
sparks.
Yeah.
Oh.
Tell you
what I was
someday
gonna say-
we'll watch it together, and I'll put my hands over your eyes, Pete.
Wow.
And Pete will be,
scary
it's all right.
concept.
Pete will be face down in a bucket of poutine anyway. He
That's
doesn't
right.
see anything. He got gravy eyes. He's got that gravy eye. What I was going to say is we get some Stephen and Knives stuff here. They get a meeting. It feels like they're on the sort of rock and roll arc that Scott Pilgrim always has. It's just everyone else is concerned with other things except for them, which I think is interesting. Are we going to see sparks fly between those two?
Stephen comes out in the comics as gay, right? Like hooks up with the guy
At the
that he
end.
is, he's making the album with. So I'd say no. What do you
But
think?
I believe there was some Knives Steven stuff before that happened, though, right? In the
No, that
comics?
was Knives and Pine.
Knives and Pine and Knives and Young Neil.
Yeah.
There was nothing. I thought there was a moment where they were palling around.
I don't know. Stephen was together with Julie on and off
Julie.
most of the book.
Yes.
And then he broke up and got together with the Beardo.
Yeah.
Speaking of the rock and roll of it all, I love the line where Todd's like, "We're rock stars. We do whatever we want. We want to do right now is be a movie star." It's just so funny. Just so funny.
Yeah.
That is very funny. Other notes. Oh, on the Stephen and Knives thing, I did want to say it was such a weird joke. I had to look it up and I still don't get it. But when Stephen and Knives, they say they wrote a song that's like a cross between the last number and All That Jazz and the first number in Grease 2. I don't know what is going, like, that is such a dense joke. There has to be something there.
It's
but
fun. It's just, I like the first and last of that joke. You know, it's just.
I
real
don't
fun.
know the specifics either, but my takeaway was probably least not favorite songs from either of those projects. Grease 2 is famously not something anyone liked.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's.
I feel like there's some Grease 2 heads out there.
There definitely are. 100%.
There's a fan for everything out there.
Oh, we didn't talk about the fight yet. We haven't ever really
Yeah.
talked about Ramona in this episode at all. I think
Shame on us.
Shame on us. Mostly because, I don't know, she's just kind of there most of the episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
how dare you?
She's
What
a
about
little bit along for the ride.
Yeah. To be honest, given how old she is, I was worried that maybe she died at some point.
you gotta get it in there.
episode.
Well, I can't.
gotta
But, you know, she came back. Yeah. And Justin, you got a butt shot as she skated away.
Of course, I'm telling you, the obsession with butts in this show. I mean,
I've not watched one episode and thought, man, they're focusing on butts.
They just have
Now,
little
any of
cutaways
these
to butts.
episodes.
When Justin and I watched the show together, I put my hand over his eyes for any shots that are not butts. So he actually
Yeah.
Okay.
doesn't.
But
see
I actually have
those.
seen a lot of the episode because there's so many butts. There's so many butts.
The
Yeah, I
fight
mean,
stuff
Ramona's
was fun.
mostly. It's fun. She's mostly here as a joke this episode, like her being
But
the
she
stunt
kicks
double
butt.
for MV, who is herself.
Yeah.
She does. This is my least favorite fight. I thought it was a funny setup to have the Wallace Wells
yeah.
stunt doubles versus Envy Adams stunt double. The joke where the guys who are doing the documentary hear the narrator saying Wallace Wells versus Envy Adams fight, and they're like, "Who's that?" Huh? Good little meta joke there.
Fun.
It's fun. I like this one better than the Ninja Paparazzi, but
Wow.
that was my least favorite. Yeah.
Wow.
A couple of other things
I love
that
every fight sequence. So
I like the running joke about her going up to people in the movie and being like, "I'm looking for Scott Pilgrim," and then them saying, "I'm Scott Pilgrim,"
Pilgrim, yeah.
which they did with Todd again in this episode.
Todd saying I'm Scott Pilgrim a bunch of times. Really hilarious.
Todd getting the tattoo of Wallace as a little sailor boy right on his body. That was pretty cute. Also, vegans never wafer. Very
Fun.
silly joke, but very fun.
We got to see the P bar. The P
You
bar.
did get to see the P bar. Yeah, that was nice. Wells. That was a dumb joke, but it made me laugh. Also, I don't know, this was such a random thing, but it made me laugh when Todd looks up to the roof of his trailer and sees Wallace and the Stars, and they play an air horn. I don't know. That was very funny to me. I guess I just like air horns.
I guess so.
Mm-hmm.
You love all like DJ music, right? You love
every single bit. I've never heard some bad DJ music. I've never heard a bad morning show. It's all good. And we get a little bit of Robot 01 is watching towards the end of the episode.
I'm hoping next episode we kind of get to that because I'm sick of Robot 1 now. I'm like, all right,
it's too much.
You're there.
They dragged out the mystery. Interesting.
Well, here's the thing. Like, that is like the ongoing thing. We have the only other major clue to me is that no one else could have written the script besides Scott Pilgrim, basically. So we're going to get some Scott. Nega Scott is something we said, or some other version of Scott. I feel like they could do talk about parodying Hollywood, a multiverse thing could happen here. So we'll see. So Scott is a thing, but the twins, Robot 01 implies the twins, unless there's something they're also going to see differently. So I'm curious. I haven't watched ahead. If anyone has and they're listening to this, we all sound dumb. But I feel like, to me, it seems random that the twins would just be arbitrarily the exes who are behind it all. So I got to put it onto a Scott or Nega Scott situation, and maybe Robot 01 is somehow working for him or them.
Mm-hmm. Pete, what about you? You got a big theory at this point, or any big theories other than I'm having a good time?
I'm having a great time.
Great theory.
And that's all that matters. No, I think that, I don't care if it's Gideon behind the robot or the twins or whatever, but I really want to deal with it because just having them pop up every once in a while, I'm like, when are we going to kind of deal with this? So
3 more episodes.
Yeah, 3 more episodes. So soon, I would say.
Well, let's deal with it in the next episode and then build up to something. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
All right, we'll see what happens. Anything else you guys want to call out about the episode before we wrap up here?
I just love Pete's having a good time theories when they come together. Because you know what? They're very provable. Pete's having a good time, so it's always correct. Mm-hmm. And then the Julie Gideon stuff, that's interesting to me. I think that's going to be a fun episode, perhaps the next episode, it seems like. But I don't think they or he is behind any of this, because all he did was take L's after the
Do you think, based on entirely on the last shot of the episode, do you think they put Julie and Gordon together because they both have glasses, so they could do that shot of like them having the whited out glasses so they look evil?
I don't know. Does your wife have glasses, Alex?
She does, yes.
There you go. Glasses love glasses.
That's what I always say. And you always say glasses love asses.
Yeah, I do.
What?
I know. I say no glasses love asses because I don't
glasses
have
love asses.
And I love
glasses love glasses,
love
but
asses.
no glasses love asses. That old wives' tale.
Coincidentally, that's my warm up when I have to do any sort of.
Wow.
Glasses
Really
love
helps you
glasses,
with
no
your
glasses love
Gs.
asses.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Well, listen, I think that was a close one, like the last episode with the little baby tantrum that happened. We had a bunch of baby tantrums this episode, but I still think
babies.
I still think Scott Pilgrim took this one, unfortunately.
Oh, come on.
No, you want to give this one to
winning.
us? He does. No. He's the strongest fighter in the province. I don't know how we're going to pull out a W by the end here. We're going to be like a Gordon Goose ourselves. If you'd like to support this podcast and all the podcasts we do, patreon.com/Comic Book Club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Facebook and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about Scott Pilgrim, Apple, Spotify, Android, or the app of your choice. To subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Comic Book Live, on Twitter/X, Comic Book Club Live on TikTok and Instagram, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and many more. And next time, Scott Pilgrim, you're going to be the baby. You're the baby, Scott.
You're the baby. We're the babies and you're the baby. We're all babies, and this is a fun nursery school where we fight. Ooh, that's a good idea for a business.
Yeah, it is. I think it's just nursery school.